All right, and we are live.
Cool.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to the to coming into the podcast tonight. I am here with special guest and good friend Chris Worthing from City Sticker Chris. So welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Yep, sure. And we have Deer Corner says he may be stopping in late. We have Baseball Life, that's Mason,
Good.
and we have Rubline Sense, which is Rick. And Rick, I'll be inviting you up here in a little bit, but we're gonna lowballing's in here.
Low ball.
What's
Hello,
up,
hello,
Lowball?
hello.
And Broadhead Outdoors is in here. What's up, Wyatt?
It's what? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna just wait a couple seconds here. Somebody just came in my house and I have no idea who it is.
Oh my.
Oh, it's my wife. Okay, that's a good thing.
That is a
That's a
good
good
thing.
thing. Yeah, I have the green screen up blocking my back here, so I can't tell who's in here and who's not.
Right.
Oh yeah, cool. I
Hello,
want to
Miss
see
Sue.
Sue. They said hi to you, Sue. I want to go into my settings real quick here. Hold on one second.
I got the comments up too finally here.
I have a green screen. Hold on one second. Okay, so that's what I want. That's what I wanted to do right there. Okay, because that gets away all the green that's behind my head when I say I have a green screen. So, okay, so what does this say? Cancel that. Okay, so we're all good. All
All
right, so
good.
yeah, yep. Sorry, like I said, I ran into a little bit of issues because I have I am on Rubline Sense, and they invited me to be admin for Rubline Sense channel, and he said it would be funny if it's streaming some random. Hey, Petersons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny. But
Probably get shot.
yes, yeah, and so what happened was I set up my live stream. You can do it anywhere. I do it from my phone usually. So if I'm out and about and I got a live stream at night, I can do it from my phone, set it up, and then I come home. I get on my computer in my studio here and just set everything up. Okay. Well, it didn't work today, and Jason was off the grid, and I couldn't get a hold of Jason. So I had to tell Rick, "Hey, Lamb Jam, what's up, buddy?" Tell Rick that I had to come off admin because I couldn't, it wouldn't share anything like my own personal thing. It was like admins too. Well, he sent me my own link. Hey, Dave, thanks for coming in, buddy. I appreciate you, sir. And for everybody here that's not subscribed to City Sticker Chris, please do so and share him out. If somebody here is a mod, if they could share his link, I could share it from my phone in a second. But if you look at the pinned comment, his link is up there. But I don't know if you could click on it or not. But he is close to 1K. He has like 920 something. So we want to get him as close as we can tonight. Maybe we can get you to 1,000 tonight. Who knows? But
That would
I
be
don't.
awesome. That'd be awesome because then they would get in on my 1,000 giveaway. I'm giving away a one-off. I'm hoping it's Kershaw knife. That's what I was after. Might
Mhm.
get a Kershaw knife, and it's going to be one off, man. There's a guy down the road here that does laser etching. He's going to etch city sticker on the blade, and on the other side, I'm going to have the logo, probably a YouTube and Instagram, and maybe a
Awesome.
bear and a buck or something. Who knows?
That's
But
awesome. And Lowballin said he got him. So I don't know
yeah,
if he
Lowball.
just picked
Thanks
him
for
up.
that. I see that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he got me. Thank you, Lowball.
Now let me ask you this: how do you know if Lamb Jam hit you up too? That's
It
cool.
says fishing with Lamb Jam. Yeah, he said he subscribed. Yep.
Yeah. Now,
Thanks,
do you
guys. Appreciate
can
it.
you see that like when like I can't ever figure out who subscribed to me and who didn't like on
I
my
got a
thing.
notification that popped up when they do that.
Mm.
So
I guess my notifications aren't on my channel for that, but I have to go check that out and do that.
yeah.
So as you guys see the ticker scrolling across the bottom here, Chris was recently on a trip,
hmm
and I'm going to let Chris explain to it. So I wanted to say congratulations
Thank you.
on your harvest. I'm not going to say anything yet until you explain, but I'm going to have Chris tell you what trip he went on and how his trip went. And Chris, if you can get as detailed as you can,
Okay.
because the story that I heard from you was really cool, and I know
Okay.
you have a video up on that net too.
Right. Right.
So when you guys get off of the live tonight, if you could go over to Chris's channel and check out his most recent harvest and his most recent trip that he went on. So go ahead, Chris. Why don't you
Right.
start us off tonight
Right. And I'll just
and
say
do
to
that?
that, I'll just add on to what Ted just said about watching the video. If you go over, please leave a comment too and engage because that'll make your subscription stick. I got people subscribing all the time, but they do nothing. They don't comment or engage at all, and their subscription goes away.
Yeah.
For me, anyhow, my
Mhm.
numbers go up and down, up and down. So that
Yep.
would help me out. Thanks, guys.
Cool, cool. So,
Okay.
Chris, I'm gonna just, I forgot to do one thing and I'm
What's
sorry,
that?
but and then you're gonna go. I just wanted to thank a couple companies real quick here before we
Yeah,
start. And
sure.
I wanted to thank the Rubline Sense, the company for Rubline Sense. They are, we're both members of the Rubline Sense uh, staff here. And there are, let me see, where the heck are they at? Rubline Sense. There's Rubline Sense YouTube channel. They do have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to post their link real quick here. This is their website. This is the Rubline Sense website. So please go over to them and check out. They have a bunch of cool products on there, and we are on the team with Rubline Sense, and they sell a bunch of really good scents, some of the freshest in the business. So you want to go over there and check that out, especially now since the rut is coming. There's a couple
Yeah.
different kinds. And also, I would like to thank Shield. I'm on their pro or field staff team. So Shield, that's their website there. So make sure you go check them out. They have the scent eliminating products, and I believe they're probably one of the best on the market. So you might want to go over and check those guys out. They're really, really on like a scientific level that I hardly understand, but I get it. So that is Shield. And then also Yolatech. Go over and check out Yolatech. And in my description of my videos, in this there's a link there, and you can use code Off the Hook Outdoors to save even more on your purchase. And if you use my link, I get like a little bit of money comes back to me. So if you guys could do that, go over and check them out. If anybody would like to donate to the channel, I also have a PayPal and a Venmo, and that's in my description of the videos. And this is City Sticker Chris's channel that I'm just putting up there, but I will share it, Chris, while you're telling us your story. I'll put it in the chat for
Okay.
you guys. Let's take a look at the comments. Worked well for me at Bear Camp. Hunting and stuff. What's up, buddy? Thank you for coming in. Also, has
JJ.
Theo done hunting so far? Theo has not gone until this weekend, Broadhead. We're going to go Saturday, and that's going to be his last day he can get out and hunt. So I'm leaving for Ohio, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I want to get on with this cool story that Chris has. So, Chris, go ahead and do what you got to do and explain your recent trip and
Okay.
let the people know that, and then I will share your link in here.
I explore with Drew. Yeah, so I have had a trip planned to the Eastern Shore of Maryland for the last 2 years, and last year I didn't make it, and it was with a buddy of mine, Dave. And Dave and I had been planning this for a while. He did get to go last year and was unsuccessful. So this year I was able to go. I had some time I could burn at work, some PTO time, and so we made it happen. And I drove down to Maryland, where he is from, and we packed all my stuff into his vehicle, and we drove out to the Eastern Shore. So when I say Eastern Shore, I mean it's around the Cambridge area of Maryland. It's Blackwater Refuge is where most of the Sika deer are located. Most, I say,
Mm-hmm.
because they're on that refuge and surrounding areas. So we went down on a Wednesday night, which was my birthday. We checked into the hotel and basically hit the sack. And we get up at 3 in the morning every morning to do these hunts. Now, the reason why is because at the refuge, you are not allowed through the gates until 3 hours before first light. So we had our app out on our phone and saw when sunrise was, and we subtracted 3 hours, and we sat at the gate until we was allowed to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that does is we got there, like I said, we got up at 3 thinking, man, we're going to be first at the gate, right? So we get up, we get there, and there was 2 trucks in front of us on Thursday morning waiting to get in. And so we're sitting there, we've got the truck turned off, and we're waiting, and you can just hear these things bugling all around you. I mean, and they're a Japanese elk is what they are, basically. They live in the rice paddies in Japan. And so they were brought here like back in, I can't remember, like 1912 or something, on a neighboring island from where we were at. And they've stayed here all this time, and they have a huntable population now. So anyhow, we get through the gate, excuse me, three hours before the sun up. And excuse me, I have to cough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we get there. we get through and we pull through, we get into the parking area and all the trucks pile in behind us. And on the very first day of the hunt was Thursday, Dave and I purchased special permits to hunt that day in that particular area. And I think it was only 30 permits were given out. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Dave had stayed up one night till midnight, and when it opened up, he clicked the button and gave his credit card number and purchased the permits. So we were two of 30 folks going through that gate that morning. We had that whole area, which was thousands of acres, to ourselves. But everybody wants to go where Dave and I wanted to go, and it was back to this clear cut that was, I don't know how old it is. It was clear cut years ago, and a couple of straggler trees is coming up through the center and whatever. But it's on the edge of a frag, and what we call the frag was the edge of the cattails. There's a big swampy area out there that they live in, and they frequent cross this clear cut, and so that's where we wanted to set up. So here we are. We're at this area, and we had to go from that parking area on bicycles. It was between a mile and a quarter and a mile and a half, and everybody had e-bikes but me. I was on a mountain bike, and I had to pedal this, right? So it was warm. It's Maryland. It's around water. It was humid and buggy. And so I have the least amount of clothes on I can, because I know I'm going to bicycle and sweat my butt off. So
Hmm.
we go and we we bicycle in, and at this point I'm soaking wet, and thanks to Shield products, I am not stinking. So
Hmm.
I get to the area that we want to ditch the bikes, and we chain it to a tree. And of course everybody passed us because they're on e-bikes, and we were about the last ones to get in there. And so we enter the clear cut, and these are all bicycling. These are all it's flat down there. I mean, it's flat. And but the problem was I'm bicycling in the dark through a pine forest that is probably an inch or two thick of pine needles, and so it was very soft. And I had the bike in first gear, and my feet are going this quick, and I'm going like 0 mile per hour. Yeah, so I'm really struggling, and I'm not the youngest chicken anymore. So yeah, it was a tough battle to get there. So we entered a clear cut, and Dave dropped some pins on hunt stand for me because I've never been here before, and we're in the dark. It's still over 2 hours before dark, or before light, I
Hmm.
mean. And so he dropped some pins on hunt stand for me. Now I've got a backpack on, and strapped to the bicycle I had made a uh, a shelf on the back of the bicycle to strap my stand and my helium sticks to. So now I'm carrying helium sticks in a stand in one hand, a muzzle loader on the other shoulder, and I'm trying to navigate with my phone, right? So I'm going in the dark. My headlamp was junk, and so I basically have the flashlight on my phone on, and I'm walking in, following the app, and I get to the pinned area where he was sending me to, and there was a guy up a tree already. And here I am.
Wow.
I have no idea where I'm at. I'm in the dark and walking through brush. The thorns are ripping me to pieces. So now I'm like, okay, where do I go from here? So
Hmm.
people were walking all around me. I could see headlamps and stuff, and so I thought, well, there's a clump of trees here towards the middle, so I'm just gonna jump up in one of these trees here. So I did that. Well, when it got daylight, of course, I could see the guy. There was a guy that I first seen that was at the first pin that was talking about, was in the tree. He was like 126 yards from me. I ranged him, and then there was a fella behind me that I did not know was there. He was about 156 yards behind me. So when it got daylight, I'm sitting there and I heard something below me, and I looked down. There's my first sighting, the first morning of the hunt. There's a spike walking right underneath me, and I mean like 10 yards away. And I mean, it was
Nice.
like such a cool experience, but yet, like, I was there to shoot some antlers, not these little 3-inch spikes. So I mean, it was a legal animal, but I passed it up, and Dave was kind of we were sending texts back and forth, and he was cracking up. He's like, "Oh, your first sighting, you know?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna pass it." And he's like, "Yeah, I think you're better off just passing that."
Mm-hmm.
So by about what was it? It was 7:52 in the morning. I looked to my left, and I saw antlers above the grass. And you have to understand, this grass is that broom hedge. I think that's how you say it. And it was like waist high. And these animals are much smaller than deer. Max weight on like does is like 50 some pounds, 60
Mm-hmm.
maybe tops, and the stags are maybe 100 at tops if you get a really trophy animal, which mine happened to be. But so I seen this animal coming. I could see its antlers and head above the grass, and the terrain's not flat in the clear cut, and there's still a bunch of trees and logs that are underneath the grass that's growing. So they're up and they're down, and you know, they disappear. They're coming, they're going, and you can't really get on them. You know, it's not really an ethical shot to shoot through the grass or whatnot. And this thing's at like 90 yards, and it just totally, you know, goes around me. And when I could see its body, it was behind the tree in front of me, the branches on the tree. I couldn't get a shot. And this thing had to walk right behind this other fella. And that's how I discovered the guy was behind me at 100 and some yards, 156 yards or something. Is I noticed the orange, and this thing had to walk right under him. I don't know if the dude was sleeping or what, but
Mm-hmm.
this is a pretty decent 4 point down there. Like a 6 points like a trophy, and 8 point is like almost unheard of. Not impossible, but almost unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
But so this thing walks by him. He never shot. You know, I didn't have a shot, and this guy didn't shoot. So I don't know what happened there. So the first day I saw the two stags, we did all day sits, 2 hours before daylight, all the way till 7 p.m. Went till it got dark. I saw
Mm-hmm.
two stags. That was it. Dave pretty much got totally blanked, except he actually saw a white-tailed doe, which whitetails down that area were kind of rare, but he managed to see a white-tailed doe the first day. So we go home.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that the
yeah,
whitetail are not there.
yeah, because the this is more of a swampy area, and
Mm-hmm.
white-tailed deer prefer drier climate.
Yep.
So
Okay.
this is a wetter climate. So we uh we pack her up, we get back, we ride bicycles all the way back, and get in the truck, go back to the hotel, we eat and stuff, go to bed. We get up Friday morning, and we do this all over. Now, we was the first one to the gate Friday morning.
Okay.
Is that correct?
And they won't let you through the gate until a certain time, like you said, right?
Right,
Like you
right.
have to get
No,
in
no,
line.
there was a car and a truck ahead of us. That's right. There
Uh
was a
huh.
car and a truck ahead of us, and they had a little boy. And they come and asked us where we was going to go, and they went a different direction, which we was
Okay.
fine with. But
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, when we get into the parking area, it's like bare. Like, we figured, since it was a Friday, second day of the season, you know,
Yeah, it
we
would be
we figured
packed.
it
Yeah.
we figured it'd be packed, since it was open to public that day. That was the
Yeah.
first day it was open to the real public. See, because we paid extra to get that permit to go in on Thursday.
Okay.
Now this was open to everybody on Friday, and there was like nobody there. So we was kind of happy about that. We went out into that clear cut, never even seen another hunter. So
Wow.
that was cool. So it was kind of calm and quiet. Um, we knew there was going to be a big storm rolling in at dark that night, and
Okay.
we just figured we got to get it done, you know. So we went in. Dave went into the clear cut with me, because the first day on Thursday he went up the road and went on the edge of the frag. He didn't come into the clear cut with me. So Friday was both in the clear cut. Well, he went. I went home just about where I went the first morning, but I told him there was this outcropping of trees on a corner, and that cropped out on the clear cut. I said I want to be on that corner, because that 4 point, he came around me and went right around that edge. So
Okay.
I thought, I want to be out on that edge. I can see
Mm-hmm.
every direction then, and nothing can skirt me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I sat. And he went, but I think he said he went about another 200-300 yards. I couldn't see him, so he was out of range, and he set up down there. So what was that about? I finally saw an animal at around 10:30,
Okay.
and this is my where my story begins. I seen antlers coming above the grass, and I'm talking out 150 some yards.
And these animals are, they're not real tall. They're not like
They're
as
not
tall as a
tall. They're
whitetail.
not tall. So
They're
all you
small.
see, yeah, you see a head and antlers coming over grass. And I seen something coming. You could just see it sticking above the grass. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy smokes, here comes a nice stag. And I'm like, wow, 150 yards though. These are inline muzzle loaders, and I mean, they're not tack drivers. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried. Like, I hope this thing gets closer, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's walking parallel to me out in front of me, and then it turns and it's coming diagonally right at me, and I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to happen, I think, you know. And the whole time I'm just like running through my mind, this thing, it has to be. I see a pine tree, it's got to get close to that, and then it's probably
Mm-hmm.
within range, and you know how you go through,
Yeah.
you
You
know
go through all the steps of like your
when
shot
to shoot. Yeah, your
process. Yeah.
shot process. And I'm like, if he gets to here, he's probably in range, and I could do this. And then he kept coming and kept coming, and I'm like, I'm gonna let this guy walk right up to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
but he angled a little bit and was going totally parallel to me on the right hand side, and so that's not my strong side, because I could, on my left side I could easily just swing around. Well, my right side, I've got to turn around in my stand, and I've actually got one leg hanging off the stand, and I'm leaning back against the tree with the
Mm-hmm.
gun trying to get steady.
Okay.
So he's getting closer and closer to the edge of the woods, though. And he's going through all these pine trees, and he's going down through dips, and I'm losing him. I can't see him. Then he pops up, and then I don't have a shot here. I don't have a shot there. And I'm like, wow, he's like within 20 steps of walking out of my life.
Yeah.
So I need to get this done and do it quick. So there was two pine trees right next to the edge of the woods, and I'm like, if he walks right behind that tree, which he's going to, I've got to be ready. So I put the gun in between the pines, and he walked right through my scope, and I had it on 4 power, and he's at about 60 yards, and I pulled the trigger, boof, and inline smoke flies, and
Mm-hmm.
down there's a steady wind coming off the frag, and it was blowing right in my face. So when I shot, the smoke instantly went away. But guess what?
Okay.
I didn't see what happened.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see him run. I didn't hear him run. Nothing. And instantly, Dave texts me. Was that you that shot? I gave back one word answer. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so tell me, what was it? He's like, what was it? I said, well, it was either a 5 or a 6 point. He's like, I'll be right there. Did you hit it? And I'm like, I think I dropped it. I said,
Yeah.
because like it disappeared out of my life as soon as I pulled the trigger. I have no idea. I didn't hear it, didn't see it. I said,
Yeah.
I think it's laying right there in that high grass. He's like, I'll be right there. So I'm in a tree. I'm reloading. I use a spit patch. I throw a patch on my mouth, put it
Yeah.
on, and I swab out, because with my gun, it's better if I clean in between each shot.
Gotcha.
So,
That's just what you
so
know because you
yep,
shoot the ground.
yep,
Yeah.
because I've been shooting it and checking
Mm-hmm.
it out. So
Yeah. My inline after like 2 shots, I got to clean it because then it
yeah,
starts going all over the place.
right. And mine's better if I clean it every time. So I
Yeah.
spit patched it up in the stand, and I reloaded. And this gets good because I'm glad I reloaded. I get down and I walk over there, and I'm sneaking up, just in case. And I'm walking through this waist high grass, and I'm looking, and I take a couple steps, and I take a couple steps, and I get up to where I thought the thing was, right behind those two pine trees. And I heard a little bit of crinkle in the grass, and I
Yeah.
looked really hard, and I seen an antler, and it was moving.
Uh
His head
huh.
was he was rocking his head back and forth. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this thing's still alive."
Yeah.
Well, I get I walk into total view of it. I'm within 10 feet of it, and this thing stands up like I never even hit it, and whirls around and tries to run away. And luckily I reloaded, and I just pulled the muzzle loader up. I'm on like 4 power at 15
Hmm.
feet,
Yeah.
not yards, feet. And I just put it on brown and pulled the trigger, poof,
Yeah.
and it just dropped like a rock.
Cool.
And I was like, holy crap, that was
Mm.
intense, you
Yeah.
know, because Dave last year hit one. It went down and kicked, and he
Okay.
got over to it, and it stood up and ran and out of his life. And it went out into the rice pat, the frag, the swamp.
Yeah.
And you don't know how deep the swamp is.
Yeah. You don't
No
know.
one,
Yeah.
no one knows how deep the swamp is.
Hmm.
so you don't go walking out into the swamp.
Hmm.
And he's like, he followed it out. He didn't find no fur, no blood,
Yeah.
nothing. Hey,
Now that
he,
swamp you're talking about, Chris, is that
yes,
like, could you take like a boat or something over there, or it's it like
you're not
more,
allowed.
you're not
Not,
allowed? Okay,
not
so you
allowed
can't
because it's
really
a
walk into
refuge.
the swamp. Okay,
Yeah, you're
okay,
not supposed to be out there,
okay.
for safety reasons too, for
I
obvious
got you. I got
safety
you.
reasons.
Yeah.
So, so I dropped this thing, and here the first shot went perfect right in the rib cage and came out below the other shoulder. Why it didn't
Hmm.
die in those couple of minutes that I reloaded and walked over there, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe their structure is a little bit different on their lungs or something. I shot it like a whitetail. You know,
Yeah.
I find the front shoulder right behind the front shoulder and put it in the rib cage and boom, figured, okay, that's done.
Yeah.
But I went over there and he whirled around like he wasn't even hurt. You know,
Wow.
now when I gave him the second shot and put him down, I actually almost overshot him. I hit him in the spine, the bottom of
Okay.
the spine, and when it hit the spine, the bullet deflected down and went down uh, through his body and ended up down by his rear kneecap. And
Okay.
I found that bullet,
Okay.
and it was perfectly mushroomed. It did its job and put
Yeah.
him put him down for the count.
So they're small animals, but they're tough.
They are tough, obviously.
Hmm.
So Dave shows up and he's like, dude, you shot a stag, and I'm like, yeah. I'd had no clue what I shot. I
Yeah.
never hunted these things before. I just seen
Hmm.
antlers and put it down. So he's like, "Man, this thing is nice." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "This thing's a trophy." I'm like, "Seriously?" He was all excited, man. We're giving each other knuckles. We're freaking, we're having a good time over there. And I'm like, "Hey, that's cool. First time out, you get a trophy. I'm happy."
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so
awesome.
so then we bust out the Outdoor Edge swing blade knives, and one of one of my friendships and partnerships with a company called Buck. They have the game bags that you use when you pack an animal out. You can drop the bags or
Yeah.
drop the meat in a nice clean bag, and they are treated with a chemical that will keep the bugs in the dirt off of your meat. So
Yeah.
we busted out the Buck bags, and we basically just zippered them up the middle, peeled the hide back, and used that as like a tarp, and
Hmm.
then we quartered them up and dropped them straight in the bag. So when i
Cool.
when i got the animal home and butchered it, I butchered it here myself at the house. It was pretty clean. It was
That's
really
cool.
clean.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't.
Cooler Buck is pretty neat. They have spray and everything for that
Yeah,
too, the
they
meat and
they they
everything.
have a spray for the meat, and it's like basically it's a citric acid is what it is.
Gotcha.
It's made
It
out of
keeps the meat.
citrus. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and it keeps the bacteria off.
Hmm.
They claim up to 8 times longer. Especially if you're out west somewhere where it's warm, and you can
Yeah.
hang these body parts up in the bags off a tree limb or something, and it'll keep it from spoiling, even
Hmm.
though you don't have a refrigeration unit. Now that's their other side of their business, is they make portable refrigeration units that you can hang deer in, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's real
So
cool.
so yeah, so that was the hunt. That
Well, tell
that
them about
day.
tell them about getting the deer out. How you guys
Okay,
did
so
that stuff.
so yeah, I'm not done. So
Mhm.
we get this thing in bags, and Dave is like, "Well, I've got this tree stand that he puts on his back, and the tree stand, the seat folds down and locks, and he's got shoulder straps for it. So basically, it acted like a pack out
Okay.
shelf
Yeah.
pack. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Now you're on bikes too, and you're pedaling, and he has an e-bike.
Yes, and he has an e-bike. So he's like, we'll load up the stand, and we strapped all the meat and the head on the stand, and we got it on his back, and he packed it out to the bicycles, which is like a 20-minute walk to the bicycles. And
Hmm.
then he gets on the e-bike and just stood on the pedals and hit the throttle, and he said he throttled back to the truck in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
So when he gets back to the trucks, there was guys in the parking lot all standing around bull crapping, and they were like, "Hey, you got one? Hey, what'd you get?" And then he's like, "Oh, it's my buddies." He's like, You got a nice 6-point stag. And he's like, 6-point stag? I've never even seen one. He's like, can we look at it? So
That's cool.
he peels down the bag, and they was like, oh my God. They was all freaking out.
So you
He said,
didn't know what you really had though,
I
but
had no
it is
clue.
a trophy though.
Had no clue.
Yeah.
And I guess in the state of Maryland, you need like 50 inches of antler to be considered into the Maryland record books for Sika.
Hmm.
And I'm guessing it's well over that already, because like
Yeah.
I didn't measure the antlers or anything, but like they're like 2 foot tall.
Yeah. Did you
They're
see the
really
picture I
tall.
just put up there?
I
Did you
think
see your Sika? Because I tried to share the screen. Did it come up?
I did see it there a
Okay.
while ago.
All right. I
Um,
gotta see if I can do it again. I don't know. I'm
so
getting.
so
Go ahead.
he gets in the truck. And he runs it back to the hotel. We got big coolers at the hotel. He goes and buys ice. And then he's so hot and sweaty, he goes, takes a shower, and he eats
Hmm.
lunch and stuff. And he comes back, and he's only gone for like 2 hours. Like he did all that in 2 hours and
Yeah.
was back to the clear cut. And I had his gun and his sticks and everything, and his backpack and everything that he left with me at my tree. I just climbed right back up because I'm able to shoot 2 females now,
Okay.
so I could shoot 3 animals. Now he comes back. Well, let me get to this. While he's gone, I climb back up in the stand. Right, he's gone. I don't know, maybe a half hour, and I hear something, and I see something, and it's I see a deer loping, and it's a female. She's loping
Hmm.
through the clear cut, and then I see what's behind her. There's 2 spikes chasing her. She's in heat, and they're hot on her tail, and they're loping around, and they come right underneath me, like at 20 some yards,
Yeah.
and they go right past me, and I'm getting ready. I'm thinking I'm going to shoot the doe, and I thought, nah, let them have their fun.
Hmm.
I said, besides, he's going to kill me if I got a doe sitting there waiting for him, and he just gets back from
Yeah.
packing my buckeye.
Yeah. That would be
So
awesome.
I just he wouldn't appreciated that. So I
Yeah.
let them go. So I
Okay.
watched them run by. And within 5 minutes, I heard something again. And I looked behind me, and here comes a 4-point dogging that trail that that hot doe just came down. And
Wow.
he was dogging back and forth, and he was working that trail. He was following where those 3 just went through.
Cool.
Okay. So, and I actually, that's on my video on my channel.
Hmm.
And I filmed that with my phone, and I got him going past me at less than 20 yards there.
That's awesome.
So Dave gets back, and I'm like, dude, you need to get in a tree quick. I said, I just seen 3 different stag and a female. He's like, you did? I'm like, yeah. I said, they're running, man. I said, get in a tree. He's like, how come
Hmm.
you didn't shoot the doe? I was like, uh, those guys were having fun. I
Now,
just let them.
how big were the doe? I'm sure smaller than the buck.
Yeah, they're like, they max out 55, 60 pounds.
Yeah, so they're pretty
So
small.
I let that one run by, and then later on in the night, before dark, there I had 3 come out right underneath me. It was a mama, a baby, and a spike all together, and they was like 15 yards away. And I actually like pulled up and was gonna shoot the doe, and that's where it gets ugly. Like you were saying, how big are they? They're so
Hmm.
freaking small. I texted him and I'm like, dude, I'm not shooting a doe.
Yeah,
He's like, why not? I said, they're so small. It's almost a waste of time.
yeah,
Like, because their body structure, like they're shaped more like a billy goat.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And we found out when we field butchered that one and quartered it up, like
Hmm.
I had a trophy specimen. It was as big as a whitetail,
Hmm.
and that's unheard of down there. And like it didn't yield a whole lot, and its structure was different. Like a backstrap on a deer will go like from the neck to the base of the tail, and you'll get
Yeah,
like a 4 foot backstrap.
yeah, yeah,
This thing had like 2 foot backstraps on it.
yeah. So it was built like a goat, basically, like a
Yeah, it was
cross
built like a
made up.
mountain goat or a billy goat or something. It was kind of
And that
weird.
and that's what I wanted to say. Like, would you do it again? Like all that work and bike riding in and everything for an animal. Now you got a trophy, which is awesome in that
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
But would you do it again?
I will not do it on a bicycle.
Hmm.
If I had an e-bike,
Yeah,
and maybe if I get a different stand or a better pad for my seat,
yeah.
because bicycling in and then sitting on a loggy cheap seat, which
Hmm.
is webbing,
Yeah.
my butt was hurting so bad. I
I
mean,
used to love those loggy cheap seats. I had plenty of those. I had
I
like
still
4 or
use
5
them.
of them. Do you?
I got 3 of them things.
Yeah, they're so light and
They're
easy to
light.
put up.
They're
Yeah,
light. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what I use when I go, when I'm going mobile.
I would take
So
that with me and go
yep, I
mobile with
had the
them because
loggy cheap seat and I had hawk helium sticks. And
yeah,
that's
well, the cheap seats are good for like a 2 or 3 hour hunt, but they're not an all day stand for
oh
sure.
it was hard on the butt. So I would definitely need a really good pad for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, that
gotcha.
that was that. And then I seen the 3. I texted him, said I'm not shooting any does, and he's like, okay, whatever. So then the clouds started rolling in a little bit earlier than the weatherman said, and it was still about a half hour before dark,
Uh-huh.
and it just unleashed. I mean, it started as a sprinkle and it lasted like a minute or two,
Yeah,
and then it just started to pour.
nice. And you had
And
to get out. Yeah.
we had to get out of the stands, and you in Maryland, you can't keep stuff in the tree. You have to take it all down at night when you leave. So
Okay.
we had to remove our stands and sticks and walk out in the rain 20 minutes, bicycle back to the truck, which takes over 25 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
we're almost an hour in the rain just getting back to the truck. And then you
Mm-hmm.
got to load up all the equipment in the truck. And
Mm-hmm.
we were, I mean, literally soaked. I mean, literally soaked. Like the floor mats were puddling up from the water running off of us.
Nice. And you said Dave's seats were soaking wet
His
also.
seats were wet because we had the door open trying to pack the truck, and yeah, we were soaked. So
Nice.
luckily, when we get back to the hotel, they have a dryer, a washer and dryer on the second floor. So we was first back to the hotel. All the other hunters were still out stuck in this, I guess. And we
Mm-hmm.
hurried up and jumped in the dryer and got our clothes dry for the next morning.
Yeah.
So we did get up Saturday morning and we went out. We did not see any critters. We had to check out at 11. So we just did a hunt till 9 o'clock or so. And we packed up and got back to the hotel and checked out. And the plan was we was going to go back up, jump in the trees, and then at dark just drive back to his place in Maryland, which is about an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
But
Plus, you had to drive home from there also.
I had to drive another 4 hours from his
4
place to
hours.
home.
Yeah.
But he decided, heck with this. We wasn't seeing anything. The action slowed down, and
Mm-hmm.
we had enough at that point. And so we bugged out. We went back to his place and repacked my car, and I blasted off back to home here 4 hours.
Cool.
So that was my trip in a nutshell.
Yeah, that was an awesome trip.
Hope everybody goes over and watch the video. I didn't have the kill shot on video, sorry, but
Yeah.
like I always say, I shoot first and film second, man. I'm not going to
Yeah.
pass any animal, that I think is a good one.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I didn't have my shot when I shot my buck. Well, I thought I was on it, and then I saw the vine, so I didn't have my shot. But I still got a doe license. Someone try to get some kind of shot on film
yeah,
here. But yeah, I just want to say congratulations because, like you said, that was a trophy,
right.
trophy stag, and I really didn't know what you had until you start talking about it, and telling me. But
Yeah.
yeah, obviously you didn't know either. But
No,
that's a
I
good
did
thing.
not. I did
Yeah.
not.
Well, I just
Yeah.
want to say congratulations. Thank you
Thank
for sharing that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and
Sure.
anybody in the chat here, please, if you haven't subscribed to City Sticker, he's almost at 1K. I'd like to get him as close as possible to that 1K here tonight. So if you haven't picked him up, please do so. And
And
if
I'm
somebody could share
sorry
his
I
link
haven't
again.
been reading the chat.
Yeah, well, I've been reading it. He's saying Adam's in here. He's saying John's been sharing the links too. So thank you, John. I
Okay,
appreciate
thank you,
that.
John.
You see what Adam said: film first and shoot second. So that's how he rolls.
Yeah, that's how he rolls, but I
Yeah.
wasn't passing up an animal.
Nah, that
No,
was a beautiful animal. I like
no,
that. It was an awesome
no.
awesome story behind it. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, what I'm
So,
going to do, Chris. Go ahead. You got to say something.
no, I was going to say
Okay.
you wanted to talk about some other subjects. Let's.
I do. I'm going to copy and paste the. Link to come up if anybody wants to come up in the stream. I'm going to copy and paste the link here if anybody wants to come in. But yes, I did want to talk about a few different topics. We talked about your trip. I wanted to thank JJ Drones, Dan the Droning Veteran, and Chillin' in Indiana Carl for sponsoring me this month. I appreciate that. If anybody's interested in the sponsor package, please just email me. My email is tedpolanowskijr@gmail.com. Let me put that up real quick. Where the heck is it? There it is right there. That's my email. If anybody would like to email me and learn more about the sponsorship package, please do so. Okay, so let's get that down here. And then one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, Chris, was let's talk about hunting the rut. Okay. Now, there's a couple different things that I wanted to talk about in there, but I wanted to talk about hunting the rut in the phrase pinballing. Okay. Now, the pinballing method is when you see a buck, everybody's saying thank you for sharing. So yeah, we do appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're
That
welcome,
was a great
guys.
story.
Cool. I'm glad everybody liked that.
Yeah. So the pinballing method, and what that means or what that relates to is if you're hunting in the woods and it's the rut and you see a buck, uh, do you stay in your area or do you chase that buck? What do you think about the phrase pinballing and like chasing the buck and jumping around, like the woods to try to get a buck during the rut? Now that's the key. It's during the rut. Do you chase him and follow where you think he's going, and what do you where, or do you like to stay in your area? And I'll get your opinion first, and then we have Matt from Want to Be Outdoors. I'm going to let him up here, and let him in first and welcome him, Chris, and then I want you to give us your thoughts on that. Okay.
Sure.
So this is Matt right now. So hey Matt, thanks for coming in, buddy. Appreciate you.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's going on, Ted?
What's up, guys? All right, Chris. So you know what we're talking about, Matt. I don't know if you heard that. We're talking about the hunting the rut and the pinballing method, and what that means is jumping around and chasing a buck that you've seen. Okay, like switching stand locations. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and give us your opinion on that phrase there and what it is?
Okay, I personally do not do that. I like to just stay put. I've let deer come to me, and it's worked in the past. Um, Now, if someone's hunting the same stand over and over and over, and they see deer to their right and they want to move over there, I
Yeah,
would say go for it. That's probably a good move, But if when I'm rut hunting, I usually don't hunt the same stand twice. I bounce around in a known area that, and I like to hunt uh, white oak ridges and things and different different topographical areas.
gotcha.
Um, I just I personally do not try to move around that day. I'm saying, I
Hmm.
won't get down and move. It it's more like I think for people that are, if they're hunting the same spot and they're seeing constant movement in one direction, yeah, that would be a smart move to get over there, I guess. But me, no, I usually I do an all day sit normally, and I do
Hmm.
not move. That's my opinion. That's how I work.
Cool.
That's how I do it. Yep.
All right, Matt, what's your opinion on that and that method of pinballing? And John said something real quick here before I get your thoughts. He said that let's see what he said. He said if it's the rut and the buck isn't doed up, I say good luck keeping up with him. And that's sort of my thoughts on that too. So that was a
Right.
pretty good comment from John from Smallwater Charters. If you guys haven't seen him or checked out his videos, awesome fishing videos down there in Okeechobee. So go check him out. But yeah, go ahead, Matt. Let me hear what you got to say about that pinballing method and chasing bucks during the rut.
I guess it depends on the weather and what kind of conditions that will have the deer moving. I mean, it's been raining for 2 days straight, and I've been seeing bucks and doe all over the place. Finally,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, like City Slicker said, like Chris said that I'll stay in one spot, but if I see deer moving towards a different spot, I'll grab probably one of
Stop.
my other stands and put it somewhere over in that vicinity or towards the vicinity that they're traveling in. That way, more or less, they're going to come back towards me, you know. But I guess it all depends. I mean, I'm a shoot from the hip kind of situational guy. If I don't know, I just it depends for me. It just
Okay.
depends.
Yep. Okay. Now we have another guest that wants to come up, and it's Rick from Rubline Sense. He is the national sales rep. I'm going to bring Rick up here, and then we're going to get his thoughts, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So let me welcome Rick up to the live. So, hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
All right, what's going on? What's going on, Chris?
Hey, Rickster.
All right. So, Rick, what's your opinion on chasing bucks in the rut and that pinballing method? Do you chase them, or do you sit still, or what's your method of chasing bucks in the rut?
I actually, what the area that I hunt in, and Chris knows a little bit about it, uh, but there is actually like thoroughfares. Like I actually hunt where my son-in-law plants corn on my father-in-law's land and stuff, and there's thoroughfares going from this big, huge 700-acre lease where these deer they're logging and everything, but they come across, go past my camp and through these thoroughfares, and I hunt near the corn, but I don't hunt over the corn and
Gotcha.
stuff like that. So I actually, depending on the wind and stuff like that, I move. I have several stands throughout his 80 acres that he has, and I move according to the wind and according to, like, I'll hunt one in the morning and then I'll move over several hundred yards to another spot in the evening and hunt that. Then the next day I'll switch up, switch up time periods where I'll hunt the other one, start out hunting the one I just went to in the evening, and then go back to the other one in the evening the following day. But I also have one section that's right by the road, and it's maybe 100 yards deep. And it's maybe 250 yards wide. But I know that I had a feeder up there, and the turkey and the deer would all come up, and they would bed right down in that area right off the road and everything. And then they get up about 6 or 7 in the morning and move. So,
yeah. And Deer Corner brought up a really good point that I'm going to hit right here to show you guys his comment. Knowing your doe's routine, that'll bring the bucks to you. And I'm a firm believer of that, and I'll explain that in a second. Rick, are you done with what you wanted to say about that?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I just, like everybody else, kind of like, does definitely do have a part in it. But I like to move around a little bit myself, just
Yep.
when I have options because of the wind stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Now my view of that is, I'm sort of a stay-at-home hunter. I go and I put my stands up in locations, and I have rut stands. I have, feeding stands. I do travel routes early in the season to food and bedding, from bedding to food, vice versa. But in the rut, like, I like to set up my stands even early in the season. I like to be in those rut stands, what I call them, the travel areas, travel corridors, like the pinch points, like the bottlenecks, the saddles, stuff like that. But I'll move to like ridge tops, because I really like the ridge tops, like the flats, not the sides of the hill. Like the sides of the hill, a lot, like during the regular season, on the side of a hill, a deer will, like 1/3 of that hill, usually from the top down, 1/3 is usually a buck's travel route, from my experiences and just from what I've researched over the years. So I'll get on top of a ridge to look down the hill and see what's moving. And if I have to move, like a satellite stand is what I want to say early, I'll hunt one of those stands and scope everything out. But come the rut, like my Ohio stand right now, I'm on the side of a hill, but it's a travel route. And I don't pinball, what I'm saying here, and jump around and try to move different directions, because I look at the deer movement all year and see which way the deer move. And I have a point where I'm at, and these deer always seem to come past that point. Anything in the area seems to come down to this point. So I'm about 40 yards away from that point on a flat, on like a little like ledge there. And every deer I see usually crosses in front of me right there. And that's just from doing homework. I'm seeing over the years where the deer move. But a lot of the doe do the same thing there. And in the rut, I like to chase the doe. Like I like to know where the doe are going, and my stand is set up for the doe travel area, sort of like what John said. But if they're like during the rut, they're going to chase the does. So we have bait piles down in Ohio. Okay. So I'm really not looking to bring in a buck, even though we got a bunch of pictures. I've showed you guys the pictures. Good night, Johnny. Thanks for coming in. But we put out the bait piles, but I'm looking for the doe right now. You know what I mean? Because them buck will follow those doe to a T, eventually when the time is right. So Crossover Paranormal, what's up? Thank you for coming in. So I don't really jump around and chase deer. I usually, if you do your homework, and everybody has different stands. I have a few different stand locations that I jump to and move to for different scenery if I'm not seeing deer. But if I'm seeing deer in my area from a stand, I don't move. I keep it there because then it's just a matter of just waiting it out, because you're seeing deer, you're getting action sort of. So I don't really do that jumping around chasing deer, because I've done that in the past, and I've had cameras set up in all my spots, and I've already moved to a spot, and then the shooter comes through that spot. So you can drive yourself nuts if you're looking at cameras and you're thinking, if you're not, it all comes down to your confidence in your area. If you're not confident in your area, you're thinking about that other spot where you want to be in. You're not into it. You're not zoned in your area. You're going to want to move. Hey, Simply Nanette, thanks for coming in.
What ends up happening is, if she's hot and getting chased, you know yourself, they don't just run down a trail straight. She's all
they're
over
busting,
the place,
and they're busting through things.
They're going through everything and around everything, and it's, to me, I think it's better just to stay put, because eventually he'll probably chase her past you, than moving your stand and taking that time to possibly go over there and disturb something else.
Yeah.
So
that was
my thought.
All right. Well, yeah. And like I said, I like to do the travel routes too. And the funnels, the pinch points, bottlenecks. And one of my favorites is the ridge tops, because they like to travel those ridge tops to get to one area to the other quickly. Because, a deer will, I don't care what anybody says, they'll go through the thickest stuff early in the season. You don't even see the trails that those buck take. They're so small and very faint. But during the rut, they're running from, if they want to get to another end of the property or something, they're going to take the easiest path possible, and they come out in the open and they don't really care. So I like to have a view, you know what I mean? So what makes one doe harder than the other? It's the weight thing or personality. John being goofy.
Depends on how drunk they are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm glad I got all your opinions on that. And if anybody in the chat has anything to add to that, feel free to do so. Let's see. Okay, now rut again, since rut is just about here. Is food and water important during the rut? And I have another part of this, what's important during the rut, but is food and water important to you guys in the rut?
Not for the bucks.
No, I was gonna say, not for the bucks. Bucks won't eat for weeks.
Yeah, they're ignoring that. They'll run themselves dead trying to get laid.
I mean, the doe, if you put out minerals or some kind of scent attractant or whatever, the doe will come to it, and that's just easier access for the bucks. So basically, you're luring the doe, you're going to lure that buck.
And how I've always hunted the rut is, if you're into the doe and you're seeing doe, then you're going to eventually see the buck. It's just a matter of time. So I hunt the doe during the rut, really, because the doe, like I said, you can pattern the doe, because the doe aren't, unless they're getting pushed, they're doing their regular patterns every day. The bucks are trying to find them. They're not trying to find the bucks. Right, so if you're on patterns with the doe, and the doe are coming into your food, or if they're normally bedding in one area and traveling the food, if you can hunt those doe, and then in the rut, it's just a matter of time before a buck comes through. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm sort of a stay-at-home guy, because I have I've already patterned my deer and the doe, and I know what they're doing. So I just stay put, and I really hunt the doe during the rut, because you guys know as well as I do, you get deer showing up. We have deer showing up on camera now that weren't there before. The deer that we were getting on camera aren't there anymore. They're out chasing and making new territory. So it's just a matter of getting that shooter. Like, if you're trying to chase a shooter, the rut is not the time to really get it, because he might be a mile or two away from your area right now. So it's either early in the season, you're going to get that buck that you got on camera and you're patterning them. But during the rut, you can't pattern a buck. So it's a matter of maybe something bigger will come along in your area, and you get a shot at that. But to say I'm going to wait for this buck and wait for him during the rut, that's out the window. It's basically if I see a shooter buck in the rut, it's getting shot. It isn't like I have one specific target buck. Now I will have a target buck in the early season, and then once the rut's over, when all those deer filter back into their home range and stuff, then I start picking and choosing. Okay, I want to shoot that buck. That's the one I would like, and then I hunt that particular buck that way. But during the rut, it's just a free for all because, like I said, I've seen deer go through brush piles that were impenetrable and comes out the other side. I mean, it's just all hell breaks loose basically during the rut. So I don't really say, yeah, I want to shoot that deer. So it's just a matter of what comes by, and if it's a shooter to me, then I get a shot at them. If you can get a shot during the rut, because they're usually moving pretty good.
Yeah,
it's opportunistic hunting.
Yes. Okay, so the next part of this is how do you guys feel? And I'm going to ask Chris to go first on this. How do you guys feel about the moon phases in the rut for deer movement? Do you guys use the moon phases, the charts and all that stuff that's out there, the hunter's moon, the red moon, the new moon, the red moon, all that good stuff? Do you guys go by the moon phases to hunt? Chris?
I do not pay attention to it. I'm going to be honest. I hunt every day I can.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter if it's black
Queen
or
Hess.
it's lit up from the moon. I'm out there hunting.
Yeah.
I go every night I can. I would, if I was going to watch something, I would watch more of the barometric pressure before a storm rolled in or after a storm rolled out. If I was going to do something weather related, but other than that, no, I don't pay any attention to it. I hunt every day I can.
Okay. Matt, you want to answer to give us your opinion?
I'm the same way. I don't pay attention to that stuff. That shit, I don't know. I don't know what people swear by it. I don't pay attention to it. I mean, once in a while, if it's a really bright, I know they'll travel more at night when it's a full moon. But that's just when you want to be out there super early or super late. That you'll start seeing them. But during the day, you won't see them. You won't see them at all.
They're out playing all night in the moonlight, and they aren't going to have any predators sneak up on them because they can see.
Well, this past Saturday, October 28th, was the full moon, and I walked out to my stand in the morning, and I didn't. When you don't need a flashlight in the morning, you're in trouble for that early movement.
Yeah.
And they're already bedded when I was walking in. They were already past me, bedded down, hanging out, because it's like daylight to them when the moon's out. So, Rick, I'll get you. I'll say what I want to say, and then I'll get you last here. But you guys are probably going to get mad at me or your opinion or whatever. But I do watch that a little bit with the moon and everything. And my experiences from hunting is when there's a full moon out, you want to be in your stand from that 10 to 3 time or 10 to 2 time, because those deer got to feed up to 4 to 6 times a day. And if they're out feeding all night, they go back early and they bed down. Well, they're going to get up at some point and go back out and come back to the bed. And they don't have to move much, and I always like to set up in the thickest areas. So I'm usually around bedding anyway, my style of hunting anyway. And I've been out there at noon, a 10 to 2, and I've seen a lot of bucks when there's a full moon out at midday. And that's the 10 to 2 time. If anybody follows that deer calendar and stuff like that, or best times to hunt, I always follow that in the mornings. If you've seen my reports in the morning that I give out on Facebook and YouTube community tab, I'm always sharing the weather and the major and minor times. Now, to me, I really haven't seen a difference in the major and the minors. I've seen just as many deer in the minor times as I have in the major times. So it isn't like it's crazy specific. You know what I mean? It just gives me, and I think it's more of a mental thing for a hunter to stay in the stand longer. Like if people are getting out of their stand and, the hour to get out of your stand is 10:30 for a hunter. So they get out and they walk through, and them deer know that, and they wait, and then they move around you or whatever. But in the rut like this, and I'll talk about that whenever we talk about, upcoming stuff. But when I'm hunting the rut, I'm in the stand from morning till night every day I can. Weather permitting, sometimes it's pouring down rain or something. I might get out to, dry off or something. But this year I don't have that problem because I have the Sitka gear, so I'll be fine in the stand now with an umbrella. But I do use the moon a little bit, and I've seen results from that, so I will continue to do that. Now, all that stuff that's written online and stuff for best deer movement, that's with good weather conditions. If it's raining or if it's windy, that all affects the deer movement. You know what I mean? Like it can say the best time is 1 to 3, and you can go out there and sit from 1 to 3 and not see a deer. You know what I mean? But if it's windy and rainy and it's hot, that doesn't. I don't think it pertains to that. I think that's in normal conditions that deer cast, or what I want to say. So but I do follow that, and
I would agree with you on something there, Ted. The thing I would agree on you with is the deer are daylighting somewhere
mhm,
because they don't disappear. They're
mhm.
somewhere, and they do have to stand up and relieve themselves and get a
Mhm.
bite to eat and lay back down. So I do agree that they will move, but they might not go but a 15-foot circle to do what
Yeah.
they got to do. So
Yep.
you
Yep.
still have to be in the right spot at the right time.
Yep. And that John brought up another good point: the barometric pressure. I love when the pressure's rising. When you have a front come in and it starts leaving. Now I do hunt pre and post, for storm fronts, but I really like that post storm front when the storm comes through and then all the pressures rise. When it starts getting those clear skies and the pressure's rising, then I really like I really like that time, the post front hunt. I mean, I've seen deer both, but I just enjoy hunting the post fronts a little bit better because I think the deer are staying at home and they don't want to come out during the storm, and they have to eat and stuff, and they want to get up and move because they're social animals. So if there's a storm for a day or two, hey Ozark, thanks for coming in. I believe that once that storm front it goes and it leaves and that pressure's rising, they want to move. So I like to be out there in that area. So go ahead, Rick, if you want to speak on that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I listened to a couple of guys that it's moon phase, and stuff like that. Uh, and I'll sit there and they'll be saying, "Well, we ain't seeing no deer. It says it's supposed to be like this." Well, 3 or 4 hours later, then it was like, "Oh, here's the deer." They're starting to move and stuff like that. Uh, I really think the moon phase is all part of the weather as well. Our weather is dictated a little bit by the moon and all of that. So there is a small amount of the moon phase that dictates how the deer and when the deer are going to move. But like you and I and Chris and a couple other guys uh, had the cell phones, and last year you guys, well, we're seeing the deer here, deer there, and I was seeing 17, 20 deer hunting near a cornfield. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the location and stuff like that as well that has a lot to do with the movement. Uh, just like you were talking earlier, there's this. I had a big 10 point that I could never get him in within 80 yards of me, but he always come across this creek bottom and he followed this trail, and the creek runs right down through all these properties, and right beside that creek is a beaten down path where these deer are coming out, and then they head up to the corn and stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just, I mean, then the nights that I didn't see any, you guys were seeing all kinds of deer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just where you hunt. A lot
And
of it is
sometimes
to
it's
do where
relative
you
to where you're at.
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
And it's all about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Like sometimes a deer, you go to work every day the same way. Sometimes you got to veer off your path and go somewhere else or do something else. And I relate a lot of deer movement to, like, social activity with deer is a human social activity. You get up in the morning, go to work, you do the same thing every day. That's sort of like a deer does, but then now you're throwing in, raining, snowing, sunny, hot, cold, all that stuff, moon phases and all that. So a deer will switch up their routine every once in a while. And obviously the deer, different times of the year, they have their different patterns. There's rut, there's feeding and bedding patterns early in the season. Then there's the rut where they're going out finding new territories and looking for does. And then there's that uh, second rut, if everybody believes in that, which I do. But that second rut comes in, so the bucks get a little bit crazy again for a while, and then everything settles down and they get back to their normal lives, sort of, and then they start getting back on the food because they got to replenish what they lost during the rut. So after the rut, that November, towards like rifle season, you start getting back on those food plots. I mean, you're still seeing some rutting activity, but rutting activity, we can't ever time it exactly the same day every year. We don't know when it is. A deer comes in anytime. Deer is just like a human. They're different. They can come in September. It's been proven fact on farms and stuff that they can come in the summertime. It just depends on the deer. And so it's just a lot less noticeable in the summertime than it is in the rut, because it's the rut. Everybody has it in their head. This is the breeding time. Now that's the highest peak time, but it's just a matter of, how the deer is and uniqueness of the deer and how, when they come into estrus and all that good stuff. So,
that's
it
when the
is what it
analytics,
is.
that's when all the analytics and everything, that's how they determine, it's, the temperature and the time of year and the weather and all this other stuff. They analyze all that, and then they're like, okay, this is going to be perfect timing. But then, just like I said last couple of lives ago, September, when our bow season started, I was still seeing fawns with spots.
Yeah, and that's a late breed and the late breeders, and that was from the later ruts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So sometimes I've seen, there's years where I've seen spots on deer in hunting season. This year, my buddy could have taken a velvet buck, in velvet September. It still had velvet on. So, and that's like, we never heard of that in PA back in the day. We never had velvet, when the seasons were starting. We never had velvet antler. Now we're starting to get into that September start time, and we're starting to see, deer being shot in velvet. And I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like a deer's look in velvet. They're neat to see at the beginning of the season, but I don't know if I'd want to mount a velvet deer. I don't know. I like the racks the way they are when they're all rubbed up and shined up. But Brown Racing saying he bought some rubline scents for the first time, made a mock scrape by my cell cam, put a little fresh scrape down, and the next morning, decent 8-point. So there you go. There's a tried and true with the rubline sensor, decent 8-pointer, and 2 other bucks were checking it out. So that's good to hear there, Browns. Thank you for buying it. Also appreciate that.
Yes,
but yeah, like I said, you get on them deer in the rut, and then after there's a time frame, and it's just an on our heads, feeding patterns early in the season till October. Then everybody's thoughts and I guess expectations are, the Halloween week is the week. It starts the Halloween week. That's everybody's expectation. Okay, it starts there. But really, it's starting in October. It could have started in September. It's just what everybody has in their head, that the Halloween week is the start of the rut. Be out there. And I've had those weeks have been great for me also with seeing deer. But then they get into the rut, and then you don't know what you're going to see. You lose some deer, you see some new deer, and then all of a sudden it goes back to the normal life, and they go back to their feeding, and then you start hunting food sources again. And that's why we're putting in these food plots to stay green longer into the season, so we can get them deer back into those food plots. And we want to help out the deer that we're not shooting. We plant the food plots to help them through the winter and get them on to next year to get bigger. So there's a lot of different aspects and pieces of the puzzle, I want to say, when you're going out there for deer hunting. And that's one of my favorite parts, besides harvesting the animal, is figuring out everything on how to get in close with that animal with a bow or crossbow. That's my I just love that part of the deer hunting. It's putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah. That's why I'm a firm believer of having more than one stand, or a stand or a blind, or 2 stands, in a blind, something. I prefer a blind, especially when it's raining. I'll hunt during the rain all day long. It doesn't bother me. I've killed more deer in the rain than I have when it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
It's just 9 degrees and snowing. People are like, "Oh, you're crazy for being out there." But like, yeah, but look what I got.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why it's to have those multiple stands out, especially doing like you and I do, Ted. Sit all day long. Even if we didn't see anything, at least we were there if something came by.
Yeah, there's no excuses if you do that,
Yeah, and then you could move to a different spot, or not move, but go to a different stand and see. Maybe it'll come there. That way you pattern the deer that way as well, not just from where your main stand is.
Yeah,
and that's multiple cameras if you can afford it. But it's just there's work to put into it and to understand it. having
Yeah.
those different stands and blinds or whatever, you can pattern them deer a lot quicker than having just that one stand.
Exactly. And I have plenty of stands out there. I've have stands in the woods probably I forgot about. I actually have to go back and start pulling stands because I have stands in the woods that I haven't hunted in a while, and I just need to get back and pull them because I don't hunt it anymore. But
here's the other
Rick,
thing, Ted, and a lot of people don't know is that does or fawns can actually start coming in heat within 6 to 8 months. So if you have a doe or a fawn that's born in April or May, come November, end of October, beginning of November, they can actually come into heat, and then those bucks will be chasing them around. Well, then you turn around in June and July, some of the later ones, so you're actually then November, December, or all the way into January with some of these fawns being born and stuff. So it seems like with the population that we're having, fawns are being, born more and more throughout the summer, in the spring into summer, and they're starting to get the breeding season is becoming longer as well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because we had Adam from Freezebound go out and put fresh scrape on his boots, walked right out, and that doe followed him right up into his stand. So they're looking,
and they're curious. Yeah, they're smelling those scents. If you have a good scent out there, they'll follow that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's a good thing. Now we have Peterson's up here, and it says not much success with antler rattling in Indiana, but great success with vocal calls. So you guys, what do you think about the rattling and the calls? Rick, while you're talking, go ahead and do you have any success with your deer calls or rattling in your area?
Yeah, I actually rattled, and to me, rattle is an attention getter. That's all rattling kind of is. Because I know I got one of those, what are they called? Montana bucks, the fake ones you pop up, and you just stick in the ground or whatever they're called. And I know that doe will alert to them. They do not like them whatsoever. But a buck, when he sees that, he's like, well, what's that buck doing here? You know what I mean? So there's
territorial thing, yeah.
Yeah. But a grunt, just like the bosses were up in one section of the woods up above me and stuff, and they had 3 bucks come in, and the biggest one was looking around, and they did a couple of quiet grunts, and that big buck come right over into range, but they didn't get a good shot. So grunting does work, especially like right about now, or when they start really sparring and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the combination works. Sometimes it's the rattling. You have to have a lot more involved. But I mean, I think didn't you rattle one time when I seen one of your videos, and you had one come down through, start looking around and stuff, I think.
Yeah,
so,
I have
an attention getter, but it's got the older bucks have to see something, or they know something's up. You know what I mean?
I'll take over after this. I've had good success in my areas with rattling. I like to rattle, especially in October. I won't rattle aggressively in October, but when I start seeing on my cameras those deer button heads and like tickling their horns together, I don't do it very early, like at the beginning of the season, but like mid-October, I take my antlers and I don't crack them together like it's an all-out fight. I just tinkle them together a little bit, do a couple soft grunts, like it's like a community thing. And they hear that and they say, "Oh, there's 2 other bucks over here. I'm gonna go hang out with them," because they're still in pasture groups and stuff at that time. So it's like they're just testing each other a little bit. That's like, you're going out to the bar with your guys and you're pushing and shoving and jagging around, and hanging out. That's what them deer are doing. So that's what I do to try to say, hey, we're over here, come over here. And that brings them over. You add that little grunt call, not aggressive, but just something like a contact grunt or something like that. and that'll bring those curious deer in because they're curious animals. So they come in and check it out. And I do agree with Rick on that. If they don't, when you're moving more into the time, now there's a time in the rut though, you could do whatever you want, jump up in the stand. If that buck's on that doe, you could jump up in the air, swing at that deer. They don't care. They just come because they're focused on that doe. But before that, you got to watch. You got to make sure you're well hidden. You're not moving your hands around and rattling because they can pick that up. And if Rick's right, if they don't see something, they'll come into it, or downwind of you to check and see. You know what I mean? So your sense got to be right and everything. If you're rattling, you got to keep your eyes in the back of your head, basically, because they can come in downwind of you. They don't smell nothing. They leave. But I've had deer run in straight into me, and I had the antlers in my hand still, and I had to put them down. I shot a buck 3 years ago in a spot where I rattled, and I heard deer running, and I couldn't get my antlers down fast enough, and that deer was on me, and he was looking around. Luckily, he put his head down, turned. I got my bow, and I could shoot him. But I like the rattle and I like the call, and as you can see in my videos, but there's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? Like I've scared deer away, I with grunts. I've scared deer away with doe bleats. I've scared deer away that were farther out that I rattled, and probably because they didn't see nothing. So I went to another method also. When I rattle, I tie some antlers together on a rope, on my bow rope that I pull up, and I'll put antlers on. Now I won't use my black rack system in that because they're like the plastic, the replica antlers. But I use 3 antlers, and I don't know if you've ever seen that on Bomar. He's a big YouTuber, and he puts 3 antlers together and he ties them onto the rope, all 3 of them, and he lowers it down to the ground. And what he does is he pulls up on it like a puppet, and he lets the antlers clang together, and then the antlers are like rustling around in the leaves, so it sounds like 2 deer are like actually moving and tinkling their horns together. So I've done that before too. That way that puts that sound down at ground level and not up in the air. If a deer is around you, there ain't a deer fighting in a tree. So, they can tell in sound place where the sound's coming from. If you're on a hill, it's a little bit different because you could be up in a tree. If they're low, you can rattle because it's uphill anyway. But I like the ground method too, banging them antlers off the ground and jumping them around and hitting trees and like rustling on the ground. That puts that sound down on ground level, and it puts their eyes down there instead of their eyes up here looking around from the sound, because they know where the sound's coming from. They can pinpoint that. That's how they live. You know what I mean? So it is, it's pretty cool to see their reactions. And if you haven't seen my tip of the week that I put out there, I always record everything that happens during the hunt. I'll come home and I'll write it down. Or sometimes when I'm hunting all day in the rut, I have a notepad with me and I'll write down everything in the woods, what I've seen and what happened, temperature, wind, and all that stuff. And you can build a pattern like that in your area too for deer. So, but I do like the rattle and I do like the call. So Matt, what do you think about the rattling and the calling and stuff?
I'll call. I'll rattle some. I guess it's timing. Everything has to do with timing, especially with calling and rattling. Like you, I've spooked deer. I've had deer come into a call, a doe grunt or a young doe grunt or something, along those lines. Come in and I hear them coming, and then they'll stop and they'll blow. And
Yeah,
it's just like, man, okay, either they got me, and they'll come from downwind to where I know they're not on me, but they just don't see anything, so they know something's not right.
Yep.
But it's just timing. I've rattled bucks in to where, like, I've rattled bucks. I have a bag, but I can't clang them together because of my hands.
Yeah.
And I've had bucks run straight past me, and there was no way I would have got a shot off, and they were just full charge, just straight past me, and I'm just like, where are they going? It's like,
Yeah.
And they're just looking when they're running. Their heads on a swivel, but it's timing. It all depends. Like if you're rattling, and when you give that grunt, that buck bow afterwards, or when do you give a doe bleat and stuff like that. It's just all timing. But I'm a firm believer of it. I've taken more deer than not blowing, giving the snort wheeze or whatever, But yeah, I'll do it a lot.
I've done the snort wheezes, and I haven't had any success with that yet. At least I don't know if I have. I did that on that monster buck last year. He didn't pay no attention, but there was a live doe right in front of him, and you know how hard it is to get a buck's attention when you got the live decoy right there in front of you. You can't shake them off of that, and you're hoping that that doe comes past you. You know what I mean? So there's time and place for everything, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Make
all
sure
that
you get,
timing. That's the timing
yeah.
I'm talking about. There's time and place.
Yep. And
You
make
know,
sure you
know
guys
your
are following that Rubline Sense here, guys, on YouTube. Make sure you go over and give Rubline a subscription. But
It's all
sorry,
about
Matt.
the
Sorry to interrupt.
situational. It's all about situational awareness. You know what the
Gotcha.
situation is at that time.
Cool. And let's hear Chris's thoughts. Thank you, Matt, for that. Let's hear Chris's thoughts because I'm anxious to hear what he has to say.
Well, as far as rattling goes, I have never, ever had success with it.
What? Okay, I'm
Never.
just kidding. Hmm.
Now, let me explain. Where where I am at is a highly pressured area of
Hmm.
camps and things around me. Um, that being said, also we have a very poor buck to doe ratio. So I think that it's relative to where you're at located and how many, the buck to doe ratio you have. Obviously, if you don't have a bunch of bucks in your area, they're not going to be battling and rattling, fighting it out for a doe.
Hmm.
They've
I
got
got you.
plenty of doe to go breed with. They don't need to
Hmm.
fight over them. So I think it's real relative to where you're at. Now, as far as vocalization, very vocal, very vocal. I carry a grunt call this time of year. Um, I've I've got a great video from 2 years ago, the buck that I shot. Very vocal. The thing was roaring. I don't know if anybody's ever heard a buck roar before.
I haven't heard a roar yet since I've been hunting.
Well, if you check out the video from not last year's buck, but 2 years
Oh,
ago,
I've seen it. I've seen that on
the
yours.
it is very cool. I
See you,
had
John.
I wasn't even going to
Thanks
shoot
for
that
coming in,
buck.
buddy. Uh-huh.
I wasn't even going to
Good.
shoot that buck because I didn't think he was big enough at first, because I had
Hmm.
something in my head that I wanted to shoot. But I had like 5 straight minutes of video of this thing just tearing up a scrape, making a new scrape, roaring, doing just all kind of vocalizations. And I thought, you know what, this would make a great video. So I turned my other camera on and got the angle of me shooting him. And it made for a good video. It really did. But
Yeah.
I guess my point is, yes, I'm not a big rattler, but I will use calls.
Okay.
And I've killed doe using bleats. I've actually I had this one little plastic call
Hmm.
that is a reed call you put in your mouth. It was from like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I bought it at a Walmart somewhere, and I put this thing in my mouth, and it sounds like a baby cry almost, like a
Hmm.
young fawn being attacked or
I
something.
remember that call come out when they were doing that, like whining and all that
Yeah,
stuff. And them dope.
they called it a Khmer deer, is what it was
Yeah,
called.
and they would come running in, almost run over the hunter, and then run
Yeah,
away.
and
Yeah.
to me it sounds like an elk. What do you call that? Elk, a female elk mew
Yeah.
or what? I don't know
You.
what they call that elk stuff, but
Uh-huh.
it just it sounds like it. But if
Hmm.
you blow on it a little bit, it sounds like a crying baby almost, like
Yeah.
a fawn being
Yep.
attacked.
A
And I
distress call.
Yeah, like a
Hmm.
distress. And this doe kept coming in and then walking off. I'd
Yeah.
blow it again. She'd come in, and one time she came too close,
Yeah.
and I whacked her. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's like Matt was saying, it's situational, and to me, it's it's definitely situational in my area because we didn't have a good buck to doe ratio forever, and
Yeah.
the population's starting to rebound, and I think there's less and less people poaching anymore.
I think there's
Um,
less and less hunters right now. I don't think there's
well,
as many
that
hunters as
too,
there too.
that too. So I mean, my population's grown a little bit.
Hmm.
It seems like more and more people are more involved in driving around on their four wheelers and side by sides than actually getting out and hunting.
Yeah.
You know, they're driving somewhere and right up to their tree and climbing a tree or something. Which, hey, do you know, that makes it easier on me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get to see the deer they run off. I don't. But yeah, I'm not a big rattler. Now I do have a rattle bag, and I do take it with me every year, and I try it. I do honestly try it, and I just tinkle it. You know, I've never had a reaction to it that I know
Yeah.
of.
I
Never.
remember hunting in Ohio, and we were hunting this guy, Mr. Smith's farm, and everybody and their mother now hunts this farm. This guy just lets everybody come on there. And when we first started going down there, what, 18 years ago, we found him, and he's like, "Sure, you can hunt here. You can park in my driveway and go down." We're like, "Oh, we got the best spot ever." And we were always walking in 2 miles. Like we would go down the furthest you can go in. And we were coming out one evening, and it was a little bit early. It was still light out, and we were walking out, and we seen bucks up in his field. It was right by the house. So I decided I'm going to go into there, and I'm going to set up a decoy, and I'm going to see how it works, and I'm going to get up on a stand. So I've set up a stand there like a week before, let it set, and then I come in the morning, and I went out and I put my decoy out about 25 yards in front of me, and I get up in my stand, and those bucks come out, and they didn't even look at the decoy. They were out in the field 100 yards away from it, didn't even look in the direction of their, and I grabbed my antlers and I put them together, and they both looked, and they walked right to the decoy. And I was like, oh man, I didn't get a shot because they didn't come too close to the decoy. They actually come in, and I think the scent was wrong. And I think they smelt me on the decoy or something. And they come in and they didn't like what they saw, and then they just left. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I've seen it work, and then I've seen it scare deer away also. So I don't know how I feel about decoying. I get really crazy when I get in my stand. I like to get in my stand as quickly as possible in the morning and get up in there and be there and don't move, because I know when I'm up in a tree, my scent is better and all that good stuff. So I like to get in and get up there. I don't like messing around, putting stuff out around my stand before my hunt and then get up in there. That's just something in my head that I just don't like walking around my area, because I feel like I'm putting more scent out there. Now the Limit Shield it gives me a little more confidence to do that. So I'm hoping, this year I'm going to test it out in Ohio, how good it works. But Chris, you said it worked really well too. So I'm looking forward to testing some new gear out from Sitka Gear, and I'm looking to test out the Limit Shield down in Ohio. So cool. All right. Well,
Anything else you want to cover?
yeah, let's do this because we're almost an hour and a half in. So let's talk for about maybe I'll give it however long this takes, but let's talk about what's coming up on what you guys are doing this season, what's coming up for you guys for hunting wise. What's your plans for the rut here? So what do you guys Rick, we can start with you. What's your plans for here for the next 2 weeks coming up? Because it's going to be probably the best 2 weeks of the season here. So what's your plans here, Rick?
Yeah, like I said, I have several stands, so I'm just going to kind of like pinball in between my stands. I'll hunt one in the morning, I'll hunt another one in the evening, stuff like that. The ruts, I also, like last year during the rut, the bucks were moving at night.
Yeah, because it was so warm last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So this year, though, that I found so far, and I passed up a few bucks because I'm trying to go after those big ones that I showed you guys. But I've seen some 6 points, some 8 pointers. I did shoot at a 12 and missed it. I hit a tree that I didn't see. But yeah, it just depends on the weather and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm seeing them moving in the mornings now, just after first light and stuff. But things are starting to heat up. I still go out and spot, so I kind of see, bucks chasing does in the field at times and stuff like that. When I see that on a consistent basis, then I really start using our triple estrus, when that
Now
stuff.
you're retired, so Rick, so are you out every day hunting, or what are you doing?
Well, yeah, for the most part, but we're getting ready for a big surprise coming up here. I got to finish enclosing my camp and stuff because I bought a house trailer and repurposing it into a camp. And I'm actually taking insulation and running it down through the heat duct area and the water pipe so that it's all enclosed and everything. more than the skirting itself. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we got something big coming up that you guys are going to be going on and stuff. So it'll be kind of neat to be able to make some videos and do some stuff like that. And hopefully from the 4th to the 14th, I'll be giving you two a call or something. So I can't
I
tell
think
you
I
what
talked
it is.
to you. Yeah, I'll be in Ohio. The
Yeah.
4th, I'll be in Ohio the 5th, because the 4th I'm hunting with Theo down my camp. Try to get him for his last hurrah with the crossbow. And then if he don't get nothing on Saturday, then he won't be hunting with me till first day of rifle, and that'll be his first opening day of rifle. So I think it's kind of special. My dad will be there. He got the okay to hunt because he had surgery on his eyes, and he wasn't allowed to hunt. But then the doctor actually gave him the okay. So we're really excited about that. I'm done, obviously, in PA, but I'm going to look forward to taking my son down and doing all the ritual with the opening day and stuff. Now, it's not on a Monday like we're used to in PA. It's Saturday, Sunday, but we're going to go down, and I'm really excited to take my son down there to experience the opening day of rifle season. And he's going to probably shoot my 243. But knowing him, he likes crossbow hunting. He might want to take the crossbow out, so I'll let him take the crossbow if he wants to. But we're going to shoot the 243 on Friday and get him dialed in with that, and then we'll take that out. Or if he wants to take the crossbow, we'll go up and sit with my dad in his stand. And I just enjoy sitting with those two. You know, the 3 generations in a blind on opening day. It doesn't get much better than that for me. So I'm really excited about that. But then Sunday this week coming up, a week from today, I start my rutcation. So I am ready to go to Ohio. We got a lot of bucks. I think there's 11 or 12 shooters that we got on camera down there. We got some really impressive bucks this year down there. So I'm really looking forward to getting down there and getting in the stand. So that's going to be my thing for the upcoming for my rutcation. It's going to start, on the 5th to the 12th. So keep an eye out for videos coming from that. And I already started my 2023 Ohio deer trail. My PA deer trail still continuing with Theo, and I'm still doe hunting. So, that's going to keep going. But yeah, keep an eye out for the Ohio deer trail. I think I put out episode 1 so far. But keep up to date on that and see what's happening. But I'll be going live too. I'll be doing a live from my tree stand. I did that last year. And so I'll probably be trying to do that this year also, live from the tree stand. So keep an eye out for that. But that's my plans for the future here. And I'm really excited about it. So Matt, what do you have going on here?
Well, November 11th starts our rifle season here in
that early, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Me and my buddy, a guy I hunt with once in a while, every year we go up there to the Ozark National Forest, and we'll hunt for about a week or a week and a half.
Cool.
We usually do pretty good up there. I mainly use my 30-30.
Okay.
I'm just better with it. Kind of heavy gun for, ridge to ridge, but I make it happen. I can.
Yeah.
I got it dialed in pretty good.
Cool.
Had a lot of experience with it. So found another spot. I'm going to take one of my climbers and move to, my circumstances, situation. So I found a pretty good spot that I think will really be successful. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm just, continue pushing on and just keep hunting. That's all you can do. Just get out there, and just push yourself. You sit there with my issues. I'd sit there and be like, man, I want to go, but I don't feel like going. And those are usually the days where, you're like, okay, that's when you see something.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, that's basically it. Just planning for the Ozarks and get out there and give me some deer.
Yep. Cool. Thank you, Petersons. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. We trying to get on and if anybody has any interesting topics that you'd like us to talk about, you can also email me, some topics, and I will present them in our live stream. So I look forward to getting getting you guys to involved with the live stream and the podcast. And also we do a live stream with the Rubline Sense team. So keep an eye out for Rubline Sense doing some live. I was going to do it tonight, but I ran into some issues with the Rubline Sense admin and my channel. It was a little bit goofy, so I have to talk to Jason about how that works out and get that going. But yeah, we're going to be doing some live streams from the Rubline Sense side of things, so keep an eye out on that. But if anybody has any topics you'd like us to talk about and bring to anybody's attention, there's my email, tedpolanowskijr@gmail.com, and we can bring up the topics that you'd like to talk about, because I want to keep it interesting and keep it, what everybody wants to hear and talk about. So please email me your all your info and what you'd like us to talk about. So Chris, let's see what you got to say. What do you got coming up here?
All right. Well, you guys know I went to the Adirondacks with Rick down there. We went up. We tried for a bear hunt.
There ain't no bear. There ain't no bear up there.
That didn't pan out, man. There was no food left in the woods.
Yeah.
So then, archery started here, and I had 4 target bucks, and I passed 2 of them the first week, and found out that one of them, one of the other of the 4, was killed by a little girl with a crossbow. That was my number 1 buck. So
that's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing because the little girl.
I'm not bitter. I'm glad some little girl got it, but I also am glad to know. I'm glad to know that it's gone and that I'm not hunting a ghost.
Yes.
So I'm glad of that. Now, coming up in the future, okay, so I did New York, archery started here in PA, and then I did the Maryland hunt, got the nice stag. So going forward, I'm just going to persevere. Like Matt said, I'm just going to persevere. I'm just going to keep on grinding and hope that one of those shooters comes back through or that a new one moves in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep grinding for that. But I haven't shot a doe yet. I've been real picky because I don't want to mess up my hunting spot, shooting a doe and leaving a big blood trail, nasty crap, getting it all juiced up and ruining a buck hunt. So, but this next week, I believe, is the time in PA to shoot your buck. I really believe that, because if you watch the weather,
good night, crossover.
It is supposed to rain in the next 2 weeks, and that's all we have left in the archery season is the next 2 weeks, right? So they're calling for this week and the next 2 weeks to rain. And I saw a metric today too that said that for the last 11 weekends, it has rained every weekend in PA.
Yeah, it hasn't been great weather at all.
So, I mean, you see people killing deer and things, on Facebook, but I believe the kill's going to be a little bit low because of all this rain, unless they're getting out during the week and hitting them during the week. But I believe this next week's going to be the week to be out in PA. So cool. I'm taking a bunch of half days at work, which will get me out at 8 a.m. and I should be in the woods by 10, and then it's going to be an all-day sit from 10 till dark. Cool. So I'm going to be doing that. Not only that, but guys got to consider daylight savings is coming after this weekend too. So you're going to be cut short another hour to hunt.
We got to get up earlier, you mean? I hate that.
So, you're going to get cut short a little bit. It's going to get dark earlier on you. So, you're going to be in work that extra hour, and thinking about hunting. So, I'm just going to keep grinding. And then, I still have that New York tag to fall back on. They hunt Sundays. So I might, it takes me an hour and a half to go hunt into New York where I want to go.
Yeah.
So I might do some double duty. I might be hunting Saturday in PA and run up to New York on Sundays.
Yeah. I got some spots in New York too. I can let you know where I used to hunt up there and stuff like that if you want to go and check it out, because I have a couple buddies that live up there and they can point you in the right direction. I can show you some spots.
I mean, if I get desperate and need one more beer or something, I might make some Sunday runs. Cool. I hate to do that and miss church, but I might do it. So
he'll understand.
So I mean, that's all. That's all I got planned. I'm just gonna keep grinding.
Yep.
And if I have to, I'll dust off a rifle and I'll go rifle hunting.
Yeah, and that's like I said. If my son don't get one, then he's gonna go rifle. He's going regardless, even if he gets one, because I want him to experience that with my dad. My dad will be hunting, so we'll go sit with my dad in his blind and just check it out.
It'll be nice. 3 generations.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody else have anything they want to add or anything to tonight's podcast?
Hey guys, I got to bow out.
Okay.
I'm like 40 minutes behind on a conference call with the bosses. So
All right. Good night.
Yeah, I'm about ready to go too, Ted.
All right.
See you, Rick.
Yeah, you guys stay blessed and
Tell
good
the
luck.
guys hello on your conference call.
Yep.
All right.
All right, Rick. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
Yeah, man. 3 a.m.'s coming early, so I'm gonna be getting off pretty soon too.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted. Josh says, "Okay, fellas, we'll catch you all. Got to order some rub line up this week. I'm getting low." True believer. That's awesome. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
It works.
Yes, it does.
I know we're gonna get our first freeze. It's gonna get down to 34 tonight.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow night it's gonna get down to 26. And we just had 2.5 days of straight rain. So
where are you at, Matt?
Northern Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah, I'm checking out the.
Have you always been from there?
No, I'm originally from Ohio.
I was gonna say because you do not have an Arkansas accent.
Yeah.
So
I'm born and raised in Ohio.
Okay.
It's raining right now in Ohio, and then this week it's going to be Monday. It's going to have an 80% chance of rain. So tomorrow 80%. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, no rain at all, and it's going to be lows of 28 and highs of 50. The highest it's going to be is Monday, which will be when I'm there. Sunday is 42 and 56. Monday is going to be 45 and 61. Tuesday is going to be 44 and 55. So that's good news for me in Ohio. And then that's what they give me right there. I don't have any Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday after that. But that's good news. No, not calling for rain at all here down in Ohio.
Our weather was supposed to be rainy after we get about a week. Like tomorrow is supposed to rain and it's supposed to be good till like next week sometime, Monday or Tuesday, and then rain again.
Yeah. So I'm hoping Saturday for Theo it's good. But like I said, he's a believer now in the rain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to sit in the blind tomorrow morning. So
are you? Yeah, I might get out this week and do some doe hunting. I might try to, because I got a video cut right now that I gotta finish it off. I gotta get a doe to finish my video off, and I haven't seen a deer. I didn't see a deer at all Saturday because of the warm full moon and 68 degrees in the morning. I walked up in a t-shirt and it was bright as can be out. I knew I wasn't going to see much. I was hoping, but I didn't see a deer. So maybe this week I will play the weather and I will try to ask my dad if he'd come over and take my son to school one morning so I can get out for a morning hunt for a doe. And then
I got blanked Saturday. I got totally blanked until the last 10 minutes. Then a couple showed up, was running through the food plot. I had a doe under me, was getting ready to shoot her, and I thought, you know what? I got to be somewhere at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
If I shoot this doe, I'm going to be screwed up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be late going to where I got to go. And I just sat there and watched her walk off.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm really excited for Ohio. So I can't wait. And now, Matt, hopefully you get on at Buckeye because I've been walking. Me and Matt's been talking, and he's been showing me some spots and stuff like that he's picking. And so I've been working with Matt. We've been throwing ideas back and forth to each other. And that's something I want to talk about maybe next live or next podcast is that I'm going to probably start doing something next year. Not really like a consulting, but like helping people out what I would do, because I love talking to people about hunting in their situations because I learn a bunch of stuff from that myself. And I like to give them my point of view on things, and I like to hear their point of view on their hunting areas. So I may try something like that next year, like sort of like I do on my channel with the lake breakdowns, but doing something with like setting up stands or pre-scouting and stuff like that. So that may be coming next year. So, but yeah, so that's all I got tonight, guys.
Okay,
so
guys.
So I really appreciate you guys coming in. So I'll let you guys go, and we'll keep in touch here this week. But I thank you guys for coming in. Everybody in the chat, please hit that like. And if you guys haven't subscribed to Wanna Be Outdoors and City Sticker Chris, please go over and check them out and give them a subscription. Let them know that I sent you. And yeah, so we'll I'm going to end this. I'll let you guys go, and then I will end the podcast, guys. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming up here. Okay. I enjoy talking to you guys. We always bring up some good subjects and have some good talk. So
nice
look forward to
this.
Yeah.
Matt, it was nice meeting you.
Oh, nice meeting you too, Chris.
All right, guys. All right, Chris. I'm gonna let you go, buddy. And Matt, okay. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, cut me out.
All right, later.
Cut me off.
All right. All right, guys. Well, that's it for the podcast. Talking hunting. Keep an eye out for more. And like I said, we're doing some rubline video podcasts with the Rubline Sense team also. So keep an eye out for that in the future. And that's it for tonight. So like I always say, take a kid fishing or hunting. We want to preserve that sport and pass it on to future generations. And we will see ya.